Check your time. It is now 10:10. Maayong adlaw sa kanatong tanan. Good morning, guys. Today is pay day. I overheard in an AM station because I was listening to an AM station. Birthday ko na ron ni Manuel. Nganong Manuel man ang utana ko ba in my head. Manueldo day today, Manueldo. Stanga. Daddy joke sa. Anyway, so pagkuhan ko no, aside from Manuel ko no, adlaw sa ko no ni Maning ko no, kasi sa Maningil sa day. Si Manuel do og si Maningil magdungan ko na sila ko no. Ha?
Sakto.
Okay ra to adlaw ni Manuel ra, at least Manuel do, sweldo, di ba? Pero kung Maningil, mura lag imong gituno lang imong sweldo ba sa gikan sa cashier sa inyong payroll, gihatag nimo sa kuan sa Maningil. Hasta nga sulab. Of course, kita dire dili man ta atong sweldo dili man kuan sa kinsina sa murag lahi man ato gamay, di ba?
Lahi gamay.
Lahi gamay. So at least kaning dili makibaw ang mga tawo nga sweldo nato, di ba? Di man sweldo na mo ron. Di ba? So si Maning maglibog si Maning, di ba? Ang Maningil, di ba?
Oh.
So lain man among sweldo ko, dili man ka ng pizza 15 gud og pizza 30 gud, lahi man gud. So makaupo-hupo ta.
Lagi. Wasa kay bawo nga kan on another date ta. So pwede ta mo kan.
Secret date ang amuang kuan, ang amuang payday para
di po ta magpahibaw karon para dili pod
si Maning dili matunga si Maning, di ba?
Dili.
Pero unsa man ang pag-unsa ba? Usahay ba basig way Maningil ba? Ang mga butang nga kinanglan og kwarta hinuon moy mutunga kaning padung og sweldo pananglitan no kanang sakyanan baterya sa sakyanan ba sa auto ba. Maguba siya panahon nga nakay sweldo. Sus paita, so ingimuhang pwede ko na mahala ng baterya sa sakyanan ko, di ba, sa auto especially maabot ka nag 10,000 o 8,000, di ba? So inig sweldo nimo malipay na ka kay nakay gamay nga kaning murag treat sa imong kagalingon ba pagkaugma na dili man mo andar imong sakyanan kailisdanan naman di ay og baterya. So imuhang mga damgo og mga pangandoy sa imuhang sweldo na hurot sa baterya na sad.
Lagi. Na kanang imong mga plano unta
Oo,
para sa imong sweldo. Wala na dyan.
Mao gyud. Ikaw Ralph, like tell me about that part of you ba, like I know nga relatively murag bago-bago pa man ka naka sweldo, di ba? Akong pangutana ba is how's that different from where you were when you first had a job, and then before that nga pakitrabaho nga murag gasalig ka sa imong parents ba, or unsa ba naaba kay kaning panginabuhi even while you were in school? Unsa may nakalahian? Is that liberating ba for you, or would you rather go back to the time when gasalig og kwarta sa imong parents, or at least you were not working yet?
No, I definitely much prefer nga ang setup ng cooker nga ako regular pay
Okay.
compared to back then. Kay now now ang akong kwarta dili lang para nako lang jud.
Okay.
It's also to help my family
Okay.
whenever they need it.
Okay. So does that feel more liberating to you, or does that mean you have more responsibilities now, and in a way you are less free to do things because you have more responsibilities now compared to your happy-go-lucky self, and you did not have that much responsibility?
Well, definitely in a way naaido nga ang responsibility lagi, pero in a way it's more liberating for me ang current nga setup because kabalo man sad sila nga I will help when I can help, and when I need to save up for things that I want to buy kay musugot sad sila. So naaido nga ang responsibility, pero at the same time I'm earning enough nga maka-save ko for myself as well, for the things that I want.
So, speaking of kaning mura og responsibility ba, karong taod we will have murag a renowned artist in the studios of 105.1. Ang iyahang pangalan si let me just get his name, si Melver hold on, give me a second si Melver ang iyang Mercado, artist ni siya unya kani siya ang iyahang artworks is mostly kaning naay involved gyud bodies of water, kining naagyoy tubig ba. And we're going to talk about how water, or the topography of where you are as an artist influences art. So muna atong hisgutan karong adlaw, tropical art with Melver Mercado, how our environment, how our bodies of water, how our topography influences the way we do art, because we are a product of our environment, right?
Largely,
Dili mo gina makuan mabangbang, di ba? Nga kita magi produkto sa atong environment. In fact, Ralph, I stumbled upon an article a few days ago about how kana kunong mga humid regions of the world, kana kunong mga tropical nations, inherently mo na silang kadaghanan nila dili kayo makaangat, and dili kayo sila kaning as progressive as non-tropical nations, is because they have inherent bigger problems pa compared to nations that are not tropical, kanang naay mga four seasons and all of that stuff. It's actually very interesting, right? Nga murag mas daghan yung pobre nga nasod, nga murag init, di ba? Ang akong nabantayan. So there are actually several reasons for that kuno ba. Anya akong gi research gamay ba. Na ingon sila nga many tropical humid nations face greater economic challenges than temperate ones, is a central topic in geographical determinism and development economics. Nag-ingon sila kuno nga daghang kuno kayong mga problema inherent of a tropical nation. Number one, kanang the burden of disease. Kana kunong tropical climates kuno, the kaning mas daghan kuno og infectious diseases such as malaria, dengue, and yellow kaning fever. So grabe man kay nag-economic impact ang disease. So sa kanasod, definitely, diba? Because you'll spend your time and resources curing or healing those diseases, right?
Yeah.
And also agricultural productivity sa kuno. Kana kunong soil kuno sa usa ka tropical nation kuno is actually not as as agriculture friendly compared to non-tropical nations.
Yeah, yeah.
And so on and so forth. So interesting lang kayo ba nga how naagyo day ni inherent disadvantages kuno ang kung ang imong nasod humid nga init permi nya di ba bay karon bay naamantay mura og balita. I don't know if you read it nga murag ang El Nino murag mas ni sayo. Did you read about that?
Wala
Mura
ko
kun
wala ko nakita nga
mura
report
kun mas
bahin
ni sayo kuno ang El Nino kuno nakabantay kang grabe kayo ka humid ang mga panahon na. Did you notice that? Like for example last night I was sweating my ass off last night at around 8 9 p.m. Usually mura naman na siya medyo dili na kay init, di ba? Nya usually man good kung gitawag man na to og ganing humid, di ba? Humid kanang murag kung alimuot nga padungog uwan. Usually it's a murag a telltale sign nga padulong na og ulan kung humid. Dili man mag-uwan. So humid lang gyud siya day.
Yeah. That's the thing, no? Wala pa kay ko nakabantay ko sa init nga murag. Pero ang thing is like it doesn't feel out of season para nako.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. This feels like the usual time when things get really hot.
Yeah. And also, but one of the things that we forgot to mention, which was actually in the headlines yesterday, di ba naman power shortage? Di ba?
Yeah, apparently, yeah.
Energy costs, manggod, to cool people is actually pretty high also sa humid tropical nations.
True.
So muna siya nga usa sa mga rason siguro nga ngano na atay energy crisis, di ba? Kaya mga tao paandar lang mga aircon, di ba?
Siguro.
Di ba? Unya kung dili manggali pagpaandar silang aircon para mas dugay-dugay pag yun, mas longer period of time. Usually kung na timer inyong aircon, di ba? Imo lang ibutang 3 hours, 4 hours kakaibaw ka ini kadlawon mo bugnaw, pero kung dili lang mo bugnaw ikakadlawon, imo nang 8 hours ang imuhang aircon, di ba?
Oo. Ambot lang jud kung nara jud na tanan sa mga aircon pero it might just be more to the fuel shortage, di ba? Pero kuya bitaw kayo gahapon na mga rolling blackouts throughout the afternoon all the way through the evening.
Okay. Would you know yun sa pag-schedule nila like unsa man like pila ka oras
No.
sa inyuhang lugar sa May Banawa nag-burnout mo wala?
Actually wala ko kay bawo kay medyo late ko nakauli gahapon kay nitanaw ko sa coronation night for Binibining Talamban.
Binibining Talamban. I didn't know nga you're kaning beauty pageant fan. But tell me about your Binibining Talamban experience bay.
It's not nga kan pageant fan ko pero we did have a minor award
minor award na
corporate award nga we had a corporate award nga kan for
katunggang Miss with Miss G award.
Yes.
Tell me about it.
Our Miss kan TMC ambassadress nga award for kan
unsa may award, what is it for? Like atong Miss ambassadress Miss G TMC ambassadress unsa may characteristics?
It's just one of the corporate awards and it was the one that we voted on over there sa atong poll. Namon tong criteria dito sa atong GC.
Okay, sa may nakadaog.
Si Rosary. Candidate number 5.
Unsa may yung responsibilities nga TMC awardee siya?
Well,
daghan mas grabe pa nag Miss Universe, di ba?
Siguro pero
he has the weight on her shoulders now as the Miss TMC, di ba?
Siguro pero with regards to unsa iyang mga responsibilities, I'll leave that up to Miss Glenda and Blair ang atong hosts sa Miss. So
tell me about it. Asam ni siya giheld mo ba sa TLC dito ba ti? Asam ni giheld ang imuhang
it was Talamban Sports nga
complex. Talamban Sports Complex kana sa may iskina. At bang sa Metrobank o sa Lulier, di ba kana diya dapita?
Yeah.
Was it jam-packed?
Yeah, it was jam-packed actually. And it was kind of funny kay sa ako nadumduman sa ilang post online is that 7 p.m. daw musugod. And I got there relatively late actually. I got there 7:01 and people were still outside. They hadn't opened the doors yet for people to go in. Pero nakasod ko kay I was one of the invited guests. So I got in there and it was practically still empty when I got in.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, I'm not late. Nagdali-dali pa jud just to cut through traffic. But I took a move it and it's like, oh, you know what? I could have just taken a jeep just to take the scenic route.
And then
More or less the show actually started mga 9 naman siguro. So, Filipino time.
So ano man, tell me about it. Like because the reason why that I miss with Miss G nga programa sa ato ang radio station is we believe nga grabe kayo ni ka commonplace ba, grabe kayo ni ka part gid sa atong kultura kani mga beauty pageants. Tell me about what you experienced there. Ang mga tao nang adto didto, were they very excited? Kinsa man dito ba si mayor, si barangay captain, kinsa may mga tuwa dito mga prominent people ka nga ni Salmot sa Miss Talamban, right? Miss Binibining Talamban.
Yeah. There were some prominent figures there. There were some political figures as well. Si Harold Go na didto.
Konsehal na siya.
Yeah. And naputoy others pero wala I don't remember their names na. It was mentioned pero unfortunately their names didn't stick with me. Pero Harold Go's name stuck with me because he went around shaking people's hands in the middle of the pageant. Not entirely sure what that was about, pero there was I guess light campaigning siguro. I'm not entirely sure.
Paghuman ang iyahang entrance free ra ni siya or naay siya bayad nga pasudlon ka unsa man? May bayad or wala? Pasud lang ka kay VIP si Ralph Chavez.
Kana kay di ko kay ba actually kay I was one of the invited guests, so nakasodro jud ko.
Unya bay unsa man kadaghanan sa mga nangadto didto kanang mga parientera or maski kaning mga tao gyud nga ni adto gyud didto kay ganahan sila mo tan-aw og binibining Talamban.
Yeah, I think there was a good chunk of people jud nga niadto didto para lang para lang jud mo tan-aw. It seems like ang family and friends for each candidate, I'd say roughly around maybe 10 people per candidate, siguro. Family and friends. Pero the gym was jam-packed, so I'd say nga most of the people there jud kay.
So maayong adlaw sa atong mga kaigsuonan sa Talamban, di ba? Di ba? Especially those that saw the Binibining Talamban kagabi lang na human unsang oras ato na human abot na
mga 11
hapit na midnight, hapit na alas 12 sa gabi.
Mga 11.
Usually kaning mangingon ani bay kaning i-timing na nila og kaning piyesta.
Yeah.
Sa fiesta ros Talamban?
Yeah, fiesta ron sa Talamban.
You mean today or no?
Di ko sure if today ba pero nag-mention man pud sila nga part of it is in celebration sila lang fiesta.
Maayong fiesta sa atong mga kaigsuonan sa Talamban. Oy, kaning kinsa man nato ang bisitaon karong weekend, Ralph. Naabay nangimbitar nato nga taga Talamban nga we will eat their house. Unsa na? We will eat their house? Ha? We will eat your house?
Ambot lang, wala pa may ni-reach out nato.
Wala pa, sus kaluoy sa doy.
Lagi, luoy kay ta, wala tayo makaon, guys.
Ang ako yung kaning kasakitan is daghang kay tagkaila sa Talamban.
Oo.
Wa pag yun ang imbitar.
Lagi.
Di ba? May tato watay kaila, di ba? Okay lang, di ba? Okay kaila dia, okay ra dili ta watay invitation dia pero napig daghang kayong mga taga Talamban.
Lagi.
So, wagi invitation. Sige lang. May makaon ng tagkuan ba? Sardinas ba? Okay ram siguro, di ba? Di ba?
Maka-survive ang gipat sa sardinas.
Oo. Makaon ng tag popcorn, di ba? Yung mo tanaw tag ka ng mga senador nga magsinagitay, di ba?
Oh, pwede
diba?
sad.
Diba? Okay, grabe kay ron ka exciting ang kuan sa ang panghitabo sa kaning ato ang nasod sa.
Lagi. It's they're popping shots, all types of shots all over the place.
Yeah, murag usahay ba wa na kay panahon bitaw nga mo exhale bitaw sa murag.
Lagi.
Murag
katawa na bitaw kaya like 2 nights in a row basically the Senate was like the biggest topic all throughout the country.
I know, right?
And it's just like one thing after the other, but it's like Bato runs, stumbles, Bato rants in Senate, and then Robin Padilla angry, somebody shouting.
Yeah, I know, right?
And then literally shots being popped in the Senate.
Fired.
Shots fired. And it's like it's like one thing after the other. I'm like,
bye.
Kalma lang.
How do you look at this ba? When I look at this ba from my vantage point ba, I look at this as just democracy in action. You know, this is what democracy is. Or am I looking at this from a weird point of view. What are your thoughts on that? Kaya nga ko again, it's really just democracy in action. Mo ning democracy. This is what democracy is. You know, you have Robin Padilla as your senator. You know, you have kaning si kasi nga ano ni si Kiko Pangilinan nga mura og ni sagit-sagit kuno, di ba? Mura mo to siya the floor is still mine or something like that, right? Something na morgi interrupt man siya ni Robin Padilla, right? So that's just a showcase of what democracy is. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, to an extent, yes. To an extent, that is true. This is a showcase of Philippine democracy in particular. Pero, you know, there are certain aspects but about ang kaning news cycle that you could definitely say is undemocratic. Like, you know, trying to fire shots in the Senate. I definitely say that's undemocratic.
Okay.
And then, I think complaining about people being loud in the Senate, that's also very weak.
So you're saying nga kanang magsagit-sagit because I see that all the time, especially in the United Kingdom, gilang parliamentary system, magsinagitay man asla, di ba? Even
even here, it has happened before.
No, I'm looking at it from, let's just say, a global perspective sa Amerika, magsinagitay man asla, di ba? Na magiuban magsinumbagay, di ba? Nakinumdum ka nang na maglinabayay. Di ba? So kana siya normal lagi na siya ba? You're saying that's really normal.
The punching part no, the shouting part yes. Kay when it comes to getting your ideas across, sometimes people get heated, sometimes people get emotional. Nga dili nila mapugos ba nga
ilang emotion
mugawas jud ang ilang emotion. So sometimes ang mahitabuan na people raise their voice. And normal na. We've seen that before. We've had very public videos of our senators, our politicians, basically shouting at each other on the Senate floor, in Congress, just about in every single stage, in the debate stage, because this is normal. This is how people express their ideas sometimes. So when somebody goes up there and basically is like complains about it, cries about it, that's just weak.
Kisa may nihilak ba?
Kitaton si Robin Padilla nihilak.
Nihilak si Robin Padilla?
Oh yeah, I don't know if it was about the screaming part, but people made the joke. People made the joke online.
I didn't know about that. I didn't know. I saw Batos crying, but I didn't see Robin Padilla crying. So part of this, I think, is also a show of emotion, real emotion. But part of this also is performative, di ba?
To an extent.
To a certain extent. Ganahan man na sila nga. They know nga all eyes on them. They know that the cameras are on them. They want to project something, right? And kanamigong tears by grabe kayo na ka-epektibo as a political tool. Kanang screaming is also a good political tool, right? Nga you feel strongly about something, di ba? You're angry, right? So ang akong pangutana ba is ang akong magong tanaw usahay murag labi na itong nahitabo sa Senado ba murag tagi-ilad ba? Akong feeling lang this is just a feeling ba nga there's something wrong here. What is going on? Nganong naigapino sila pero why naigo? Unya paghuman niya mura og giinbitar ang media pero kutob ra diha, di ba? Nga igo lang ang makadungog sa buto-buto. Unya human wagtang si bato. Di ba niya mura bag like nganong ang ato ang gobyerno nganong wala man sa to nadakpan, di ba? Nga portira man ang sayuna. I mean like that's a really small building, di ba? Dakpan magito si Kibuloy galing initago mismo sa iyahang turf, di ba? Sa iyahang eskwelahan mo to siya nitago or something like that, sa iyang compound, di ba? Unya kanina noon nga naa sa public area, public space which is the Senate building o GSIS building, di ba? So wala na nadakpan. So akong feeling ba nga katong mga sagit-sagit nila, that's part of the drama, the theatrics of it, all the performative part, but also the whole thing. Nga mura gihimo lang tag kaning murag telenovela ba? What are your thoughts on that ba? Is that rooted on something or you think what happened in the Senate was real?
I think that's definitely rooted in in reality because the fact nga walay nadakpan shots were fired unya walay na igo even on the side sa atong law enforcement walay na igo and ang sa side sa people who were supposedly attacking the Senate wala po'y na igo, nobody was arrested. It's like what happened? And so that's the thing, right? You'd also expect na this is the Senate building. There should be CCTV footage. We should be able to uh nabatay freedom of information requests from our press nga pwede sila mo
Mo demand?
request mo demand nga makakita sila sa CCTV. I know that that's a thing in America. I'm not sure if it's a
I'm not
thing
sure.
here.
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, where that's a thing, right? We should be able to see what happened on the Senate floor because there should be a lot of CCTV there.
Mm.
So why haven't we been able to see that? I remember nga ang mga recent attempt on Donald Trump's life that happened in a hotel because of CCTV. We are able to see exactly how the guy tried to go in. Why can't we see and it happened immediately after the guy did that? Immediately the footage.
Supposed attempted assassination, di ba?
Yeah.
Attempted assassin.
Yeah. Immediately we saw the CCTV footage of him like running through security and all that. Why can't we see CCTV footage of what happened that night in the Senate?
Kung gi-set up to nila, kung protracted to siya nga sarsuela nga drama, then maybe that's why, right? Maybe
that's exactly why, because if this was like a legitimate nga threat on the Senate, this would I would fully expect them to make all of the footage immediately public, just so they can also try to identify these people who are attacking the Senate. But they're not doing that, and again, no casualties, no injuries. How convenient.
Yeah.
So I'd say nga the general nga feeling of what do you call this, or speculation nga this could be staged. I can understand where they're coming from.
Mm-hmm. So kung stage ni siya ba, kung pananglitan giinalandanin niya nila ba? You think nga mailad ta? I mean, like kita, obviously both of us are not, right? We're skeptical about it. But maybe the senators, maybe the government knows something that we don't. Nga talira na ilaro ng mga Pilipino ba? Tanaw nila? Ha? Maybe kitara siguro mga kwanta ba mga weird siguro ta nga mga tao nga mga di ta mailad.
No. I definitely say no, because kay pagtanaw nako sa mga comments online, like I'm going through the posts online and all that, everybody there was being skeptical. It's like, okay, shots fired, nobody was injured, nothing happened, no arrests. It's like, unsay nahitabo? Like, a lot of people are very skeptical about it. And the fact nga in the midst of this chaos, nakatakas na po si bato. So it's like, yeah, it's like very weird. It seems like very convenient nga distraction ba para lang makatakas si bato.
Pero kanin siya ba? Kung gi-stage nila ba, gi-set up nila ba? It's supposedly opposing forces man sila ang government ug ang kaning di ba bagong nahitabo nga mura og kudita sa Senado nga bag-o na pag presidente, di ba? So mura ba they are dividing themselves into factions ba? So do we have factions, or are these supposed perceived kaning enemies, perceived opposition and administration, are they also in cahoots with each other? Kay kung usara ka side ang nagdrama, right? May bawan sa usa, di ba?
Yeah.
So ngano, posible nga silang duha nagdrama?
Right?
It's so weird, right?
I don't know. That's the thing. I really don't know. Like it's really hard to wrap my head around what happened just because of how it played out. And ang mahitabuan is like all sides are now suspect to
Exactly, right?
Yeah, skepticism. Okay.
It's so weird, man.
And the fact that nga nobody was arrested, nobody was injured, no fatalities or anything like that in closed quarters nga situation as well. You'd expect at least some injuries. And no arrests. Like
yeah,
all of them escaped.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, the police are that incompetent?
Yeah.
There were Marines in that building from what I remember sa reports.
Inside or outside?
Inside, like
inside.
Yeah, like I heard military personnel. One post report said they were Marines. They got inside to quell the of course
Okay.
the
After na. So, katong nakita mo ko sa footage siya, katong naay mga buto-buto daghan kayo, more than 20 shots man to, di ba? Napaong ding suga, di ba? It could be more og distraction so that bato could escape, right? It's possible, right? It's possible nga that's what happened. But we will never know, at least not yet. We won't know now. But I'm hoping because of investigative journalists like you, Ralph, and me, and and everybody out there who is trying to get to the bottom of things will eventually find out exactly what happened. Our time now, it is 10:38. You're still listening to Top of the Morning. I'm your host. My name is Jiggy Juice, and we have here our guests in a few moments. Atong hisgutan karong adlaw, unsa man gyud ka-importante ang imuhang environment, ang imuhang surroundings sa imuhang ginabuhat sa kinabuhi. If you're a artist, unsa may influence niya na, because we all know we are products of our environment. In fact, earlier we were discussing with Ralph nga ang mga nasod nga temperate kanang tropical kanang mga alimuot nga mga nasod, they have economic challenges that are more difficult compared to less temperate, less humid nations. So muna nga kadaghanan sa mga pobring nga mga nasod kay mga alimuot nga mga nasod, di ba? Kan mga init. Kay daghan kayo sila mga challenges nga usually wala na sa mga nasod nga medyo naay 4 seasons and so on and so forth, right? So muna importante juga ayo ang environment sa usa ka tawo para mahimo siya who he is, right? I mean, ikaw, Ralph, like we were talking about this earlier nga, I am sure you probably would have been not a better person, but another kind of person, right? If you lived in a different country, right? Would you if you lived in some, let's just say in Antarctica, in the North Pole, right? Dili siguro kay Nani Robs.
Oh, definitely be a different type of person.
Yeah.
I don't know about better, pero who knows? Maybe. Ay ko maldito man daw ko. According to my sister.
Okay. Kana lang religion, di ba? Kung nataong ka sa usa ka kaning Middle Eastern nga country, di ba? Mas dako siguro possibility nga lain nimo ang pagtuo sa, di ba?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Mas dako sa imong possibility nga kaning usa imbis Kristiyano ka, maybe you probably will believe something else, right? So a lot of who we are as people really depend on our environment.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And we're going to talk about a specific kind of, not just people, but a specific kind of person now nga unsa ang iyahang unsa mahimo sa iyang environment, sa iyahang craft, sa iyang art. But before we introduce him, let me introduce to you guys our panelists here, our guests here. First of all, we have art enthusiast, art collector, Dan Climaco. Mayong adlaw mo diya, Dan. Mayong adlaw mo, Dan.
Mayong adlaw.
Art collector si Dan Climaco.
TMC.
Also, he's from sa tawag niya ni Curtains Unlimited, right? Sakto ba ko?
Yes.
And we also have Bea Sagon. Mayong adlaw mo diya, Bea.
Hi.
Kani si Bea,
Mayong
art curator ni siya, di ba? You can grab the microphone, Ma'am Bea. There you go. And maybe you can even use the headphones if you like to hear yourself, right? And also with us, of course, we have artist. Can you introduce yourself, sir? Melver?
I'm Melver Mercado.
Melver Mercado. Mayong adlaw nimo, sir.
Mayong adlaw, sir.
How are you guys doing? How's everything, Dan?
Well, the ride was okay.
Okay.
On the way up
Okay.
here, but we were talking about some extreme.
Well, what extreme? What extreme thing?
What extreme we would do in life?
What?
Well, go. Well, maybe we should ask Jiggy that. What extreme you would want to do in life?
What extreme?
Like bungee jumping?
Extreme sports.
Extreme sports.
Because I think in many ways going out of the house is already dangerous enough. You know what I mean? That's why I am not a big fan of extreme sports. I mean, I like watching them. You know, I like, and in many ways, in my head, I can probably do them. You know, like for example, kanang mga kat. It's just a matter of discipline and practice, diba? And also, of course, kaning kaisog, courage, diba? Pero going out of the house is really dangerous enough. Why look for more danger, right? I mean, you know, you could die in your sleep. right? As evidenced by a lot of our friends.
Recent.
Recent nangamatay nagduwa lang og basketball, di ba? Ang atong amigo nga si Alfred Reyes, di ba?
yes.
And then ang usa scuba dive lang siya, di ba? Paghuman si Doc Erwin, di ba? So grabe jud kayo ka risky nga magawas na kagbalay. Just to be alive, of course, means that you have the honor of dying also, di ba? So kaning risky na kayo ang kinabuhi. Nga nung mangita pa maka-extreme nga buhaton nimo nga lisod namang kinabuhi.
Maybe extreme for you is riding a motorcycle to TMC.
Which I already did.
I know.
I already did.
I know, Jake.
Oh niya, napangos mga gawin. Nakuan ko pagdulhog na ko. This is a few months ago na kaning nabaguhan ka ba nga nagmotor ka ba nagpakusog ka niya dulhogon ko ng padung sa top sa padung ubos. Dulhugon kayo so na slide go anyway.
I didn't know that.
So pero wala raman ko na bali na pangos lang.
But was that extreme na to? Huh?
Not really. Para nako lagi my philosophy is really extreme to get out of the house. I mean,
38 degrees Celsius right
what's
now.
that?
It feels like 38
You have to grab the
degrees
microphone.
Celsius.
What's that?
It feels like 38.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, conceptually, if you think about it good, Bea, ang ato ang planet is a ball circling around a great ball of fire, di ba? So at unbelievably breakneck speed, di ba? Pila na ka kilometers per hour ang speed, ang revolution sa Earth sa sun, di ba? Isn't that super extreme if you think about it in the grander scheme of things, right? Right? Isn't that dili ta maka-feel lang niya na, di ba? Pero if you telescope out and look at how lucky we are just to be alive, right? That's already an extreme luck for you to be alive, right?
So what you're doing, Sir Dan, is extreme sports.
Yeah.
Well, I still feel it's just like partly enjoying nature also and
Okay.
being in nature.
Yeah.
Because I believe it heals.
You know,
each of us.
what heals?
Nature. Being in nature. Yeah.
Of course, yeah, absolutely. Nigingon sila Dan nga, I remember hearing this, actually reading about this nga, the closer you are to dying, the more alive you feel.
Oh.
The closer you are to dying, the more alive you feel.
I like that.
As long as di ka mamatay.
Yes. Yes.
Huh?
And it applies to people who are doing extremes.
Yeah. And it's so we're talking about extremes now. Ang ato ang weather diri sa Pilipinas in many ways is kind of extreme kay murag grabe na kay kainit karon mga panahon na, di ba? So it really affects not just kaning our air conditioning, our electric bills, but it also affects the way we dress up, di ba? Ako swerte lang karon kay kaning aircon man diri so maka-jacket ba ko pero wala pa ni aircon hubuo jud ni akong jacket, di ba? O niya paghuman it also affects our art, di ba? I mean like si Melver dere, mayong adlaw nimo diya Sir Melver.
Yeah, sir.
Grabe man kayo ka importante gyud ang contribution sa environment
Yeah,
to your art, di ba?
True. Kay kung init kayo rag mawadaan sa taog gani bitawng momentum nga mo himo og art. Lahi ra sa kanang environment nga medyo bugnaw kayo, medyo mas conducive siya for making art.
So are you saying that is the reason why daghang kayong mga artists mas daghan og artists sa mga lugar sama sa Europa, sa West because mas bugnaw sila dito kumpara diri nga murag medyo init kayo na wala bay daghan nga mga let's just say African artists nga grabe kayo ka alimuot ka init ng kanang continent or diri sa Pilipinas nga grabe kayo ka init ang Pilipinas. Do you think nga in terms of sheer number ba mas daghan ang artist dito nga tugnaw? Tanaw
Yes,
nimo?
according na study sir. Nga ang Europe is more or North America is somewhat daghan gud og artist, a practitioner for art. Considering I mean in kaning contrast sa naa sa temperate nga areas.
Oh.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
And the way we behave as people, you know, if you look at the headlines of today, and actually this is a very common headline, not just of today, but in many times of my life here in the country, ang atong mga politiko, mga murag atong behaviors sa mga politiko ba, murag medyo murag extreme sad gamay ba, di ba? Or at least weird ba? Murag weird ba? So maybe it has to do with the temperature siguro sad?
I guess.
Tanaw nimo? Ha? Bea, imong tanaw Bea. What's your theory behind the way we behave? Not just as politicians but also as voters, as citizens of the Philippines. Medyo mura man tag weird sa tagamay ba? Like pananglitan atong educational system, di ba? Alimuot man kayo sa Pilipinas usually nya kadaghanan sa atong mga classroom wala aircon, di ba? So maybe dili ang absorption rate sa siguro dili so ito maka-absorb siguro kay sige tagpamaypay alimuot kaysa sa atong classroom. Maybe that's why we're not very smart because it's also not conducive to education. What do you think?
I beg to disagree. I think we're very smart. High blood lang yun.
Ansa high blood lang. High blood lang.
It's also the diet in Cebu. It's very pig-centered. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, with regards to like Cebu, I would say with the reputation of like sunny Cebu, they say we're always protected from like the rains and like the typhoons. Pero init sa kayo. Uy, if kana imong huna-hunaon ang mga artists diri and mga people who are working, like they have this level of resilience during the day, and then they have to have steam for like the rest of their day. And like I think it's a combination of that and everything that's happening. Politics, I won't go into it. Support, like institutions, the market, the oil crisis. Paka high blood gid siya. So,
pero kanang oil crisis wa na labot sa ato ang environment, di ba? Ang ato ang temperate kaning tropical environment here in the Philippines, di ba? In many ways, but so the way we react to it is probably I think, like the oil crisis, actually everybody is probably responding, reacting to it all the same, di ba? Nga manangutkot kita sa way katot,
oh,
diba?
especially if red alert na atong ang atong kuryente. Oh, init na gani, di ba ka electric fan?
Dili, I think naguna ang init moong nag-red alert ta kay init kayo ng atong aircon dili na to pangon, ang atong electric fan dili na to pangon dayon, so mo nang nitaas ang ato ang electric consumption, di ba? But ikaw, Bea, ba you're an art curator, right? So tell me about that job, especially in the Philippine context, in the Cebu context. How is it to be an art curator in Cebu? Because I don't hear a lot of, I only probably know a handful, maybe less than the palm of my hands, the fingers in my hands, the number of any art curators that I know. Maybe you can tell us how it is to be an art curator in these places.
I identify as both a curator and a consultant.
Okay.
We're not the first world markets where like there's a lot of segregation in terms of roles in the art scene. So we find ourselves in a smaller island doing a lot more in terms of roles, like helping artists, helping collectors, doing programming work that otherwise wouldn't have been a curator's sole role. But like here in Cebu, we find ourselves doing a lot. So right now, for example, this season, we're working with Dan on his collection and a lot of other collectors. We have visibility on what are the programs with institutions, and then what are the current collections that some families and private collectors hold and some estates hold. We also work with artists. We work with like artist estates. So it's a lot of really unglamorous admin work.
Behind the scenes.
Like Sir Dan, you can attest to like
yes.
the amount of work that it takes to actually organize even just one collection, right?
Yes.
So yeah.
There's so much going on.
Yeah. To manage all of that is really not just a curator's job, but also like an art consultant's job. So we offer the consultancy with different collectors, individuals, depending on their needs.
Kato akong thesis of our conversation is the way the environment of or the topography of the place and the environment affects the artist ba. Maybe you can give us an example as a curator ba, how true those are, or how false that thesis is nga ang environment makaapekto di ay sa usa ka artist.
Me, I always, while working with artists and even growing up with them, I've noticed that artists don't operate with, most artists don't operate in a role, but they operate as like Mark Hostiniani said, an artist in in Bacolod, said they operate as a human being. And so like you and me, like we are shaped by everything, our surroundings, our environment, the context of those surroundings, whether it's the temperature towards like, the bilihin, the gastusin. It's just artists operate like human beings, and they have perceptions and perspectives, and they have a vehicle to visually express that, represent that, communicate that. And like me being an art practitioner in that sense in the market and in being curator, I feel like there's a responsibility to make these messages and these perceptions and perspectives tangible to everyone. So how do you do that, right? Like, but to start with the evidences that people make in a time, and the evidences, whether that's sculpture, that's artwork, that's writing, that's music, and any kind of art, they change across time and they evolve across time. And so, like, for example, with Dan Climaco's collection, like, we truly see from, like, the late 70s and the early 80s, we see, like, the topography, right? And how different it looks from if, say, he acquired, like, a more...
Recent, 2026.
Yeah, like a more recent collection. And that's documented in a very subjective and I would say emotive way. Like, sure, you can take photos and like write news about the world on a very journalistic sense, but to see evolution and time through visual imagery from a person's perspective and follow that all along across his career and throughout his life of painting is quite valuable.
You know, when you say topography, that means the kind of land masses and bodies of water, right?
Yeah.
More topography is more permanent compared to weather, di ba? Right? I mean, like kanang topography more dili man kayo na mousab, right? I mean, like, of course, mousab na siya kung panalitan tukuran og building ang usa ka kaning bukid or pananglitan tukuran og ganing simintohon ang dagat, di ba?
Man-made, yeah.
So mausab gyud ang topography, but dili na siya kaayo ka seismic ang changes compared to, let's just say, the political peace and order, these activities ba in society ba nga medyo mas fluid bitaw compared to topography, right?
Well, yes, topography is the characteristics,
the
natural characteristics.
Correct, yeah. So dili kay siya mausab, di ba?
Yes.
So ang akong pangutana siguro sunod nimo kasi you're an art curator ba is because there's so many tumultuous things that have happened in the past few centuries, decades sa kalibutan karon, di ba? Even here in the Philippine context, unya ang topography nato more or less the same raman siguro in the last 10, 20 years siguro mura gamay ra ang kausaban ba. But is topography the biggest influence of an artist imong naobserbahan or are let's just say the political events of society, or is it the economic events or peace and order? What do you think is the if you had to choose one single most influential force for artists, what would it be? What do you think that is?
I think that's a question that Melver can answer.
Imong tanan nimo, sir, Melver. Unsa man imong tanan? Unsa may usa ka butang nga mas nakatayog sa imong art compared to others?
Yeah, nice. So, number one is environment, which is highly reflective sa akong work. Gani, is a landscape and a marine painter. So, balik ta sa discuss ni Ma'am Bea. Topography is very important sa ako ang part kay mo resonate sa climate ako ang work, which is more into landscape and ginana, no. So sakto to kuan. And then I have a kaning recent kanabitang account nga which is mas support sa akong claim, which is just recent nga days lang I held a kanabitang a plein air painting sa mga students.
Explain to our listeners unsa nang plein air.
Plein air is kanang you have to kanabitang paint on the spot and then catch the fleeting moment in time sa atmosphere. So, lahi ang output sa student nga which is na-confine ra sila sa in a room environment nga kanabitong relax ra kayo. And then ang ilang
Studio.
output studio sir, ang output nila sa field which is na greatly affected sa current nga kaning heat index. Na nalahi gud ang nilang output gud which is I think that's the kanabitong really the evidence nga ang for example the weather can affect the kaning output of an artist, but it takes discipline siguro to become a very effective artist considering these environments ato ang init and then inana. So probably if kung ingon ta fewer ang artist nga naka I mean fewer siya in comparison with the colder nga region, is that because probably fewer ang naka-catch sa discipline. So, yeah. So, mo ito kong answer.
So, when you say naka-catch sa discipline, nga, you mean na naka-decide nga mag-artist sila?
Naka-adapt sa nature, sa environment.
Okay. But I think also, although we are influenced and affected by our environment, not just the topography, but everything else, right? But we choose which one we take inspiration from also. It's a matter of choice also, right?
Yes.
Akto ba ko or dili?
It's a matter of choice on each every artist.
Kung unsa imong inspirasyon, di ba? What moves you, I guess, right?
Yeah, that's mine lang sa
So,
I respond to the environment.
Yeah. Sige, describe to us your Melver, your art. Like what do you expect from Melver?
Yeah.
In a nutshell.
Yeah, so my work is mostly maritime, and so based on my in my experience as before I was a child, so I'm not totally from Cebu ra gyud nga ni kuan ko diri na Puyo. So after I born in Cebu, so we migrated to Mindanao. So time and again kanang move travel me, so na-expose ko sa of course beautiful landscapes sa Bukidnon, and then every time mo travel me I also experienced travel before by boat going to Cebu, and then it takes too long to arrive in Cebu before, so I can see the island nga mga nature or something like that. So pagka study na ko og fine arts and become an artist, so it becomes my repository ang ako ang artwork sa akong experiences. And even now I don't paint from kanang subject nga I don't have experience. I should experience ako ang i-paint good on and experience kina ako. Mostly sa akong except lang for example just like kaning project for a particular client or collector. So that part is a kanang lahi na siya. Pero my personal output is based on my experience.
That's one kind of artist, Melver. Some artists are also influenced by social environment or what.
So mangita gid ka unsa imong
political movements.
Mangita jud unsa imong what moves you, di ba?
Right. So some collectors like to collect these pieces kanang who does like some political statement, because it also reminds of that particular part or period of history, right? Like some good artists like Charlie Coe, he's sought after because of his political statement. He's very brave about that.
So we're talking about it like you have a choice, but was it a choice, by the way, for you to get inspiration from your environment? Or was it like more man ako ang na experience mo man ako ang environment sa mo nang ako ang buhaton, or was it kaning
I think it's more appropriate natural nako.
Natural nimo, di ba? So dili gid siya mahimo. You cannot say it was your choice. Would you be able to say that?
That's his joy probably.
That's
he finds
my joy.
and happiness
So
in that process.
Probably I was chosen for that by nature.
Right.
So mura og
I am chosen for that.
Right.
Nature chose you.
Yes.
Right? But speaking of joy, this is actually a common topic and I love to talk about this. Kana bitong what emotion gets the most art? Because para man ako, joy is one place that inspire you to do art. But a lot of great art also comes from great suffering, right? Great pain, right? Ikaw, Bea, and maybe all the three of you, this is a question for the three of you. What do you think is the best place for art? Is it joy? Is it pain? Is it suffering?
What resonates with
What do you think, ikaw, personally, on a personal level, based on what you've curated here in Cebu, in the Philippines? So what emotion is the most common emotion that gives the best art?
I okay. Well, this is I could probably reassess the question instead of like best art, because art is very very subjective.
Most moving art.
Like I think that there's art that's universally praised because of the, I would say, the zeniths in the timeline, like maybe art about war, art about death, art about these more strong polarities. In a way, if it's translated into the simplest terms, the virality subject matter. But I really, personally, I really find mundane art interesting.
Mundane art.
Yes.
Explain to us what mundane art
Like
is.
the everyday, the run of the mill, and like being able to capture again like these fleeting moments in the same principle as plein air, in the same idea that impressionists go to a specific place on a random day and decides to rapidly capture something, or it can be you want to paint your curtains, curtains unlimited, paint the garden, or like a moment in the day. It's like being able to evoke with your own use of formal elements like color, like movement, like texture, like shape, space, and like being able to use that to paint a mundane moment. I think that's very contemporary, I would say, but also it is a nod to the traditional painting.
Ikaw,
And, like,
Melver.
Yeah, as an artist, I have to
Kasakit o kalipay ang imuhang mas nindot ng art nimo?
all.
Ha?
All. It can be happy, it can be sad, it can be lonely, it can be mundane and boring days. Ako ang ganan ako i-translate into a positive artwork. Not really positive outcome of artwork. Or
So
artwork.
posible day Melver nga kung limuot kayo sa tanan niya, kalagot ka limutan, wala may kuryente, mas nindot imong art.
There is a possibility, good, as I have mentioned. That energy, I can probably translate that into a masterpiece.
Wow. How about you? Ikaw kaning Dan. Unsa man imong tanaw sa you being an art collector, based on what you have seen, what emotion do you think is usually the case that it moves you more than others? Than other emotions.
Wakay ko specific kind of artworks that I collect, but I don't know how Bea assesses my collection. But I also like the works of Melver, but I also like other like pop works, like very recent works, like from very young artists.
Kani si Dan Klima ko dili lang ni siya manghimo og kuan, yang kompanya manghimo og nindot kay ang mga kortina. That's why we have nice curtains here at 105.1 TMC. He's also an art collector, right? Dan, tell me about your art collecting. Like tell me about that. How did you become an art collector? Number one, and perhaps number two, what do you think about when you try to add a piece into your collection? Unsa man imong mentality? Unsa imong way of thinking? Go ahead.
Before I answer that very nice question, with your curtains now,
Nga naman.
with the kind of material, I know this is a problem with a lot of people now in summer.
Okay.
Ang ilang aircon ma-overheat or ma-fatigue.
Correct.
So with that kind of curtain, it can block the heat
The
from
heat.
coming in. Also this one. So it preserves the coldness.
Okay. So
Anyway.
unsa man imong mentality before that, when did you become an art collector?
The initial cause was like I felt like a Visayan artist, or this part of the country needs support, because I felt like they were like there's like favoritism in in Luzon.
Regionalism.
Regionalism.
More of
So
bias,
they were
diba?
like bias, or they were like bullied somehow in that sense. I won't go into detail because
You could if you want to.
I don't want to be that detailed anymore. But yes, so I felt
Suffice.
that. So I felt like if we don't support this artist, and then who will?
Mm.
And then what happens to our culture if nobody supports them?
Mhm.
So that's the initial cause of my collecting.
So just to support the
Yes, to support
local artist. So what's
But-
your
But now I also look at it as an investment. Yes, it's everything I buy is in the thinking I will sell in the future.
So what's your mentality when you buy, when you add to your collection? Is it still the investment?
What speaks to you?
Yeah, what speaks to me is important. If I enjoy it, if it's still in me in my collection, I should enjoy it. That's number one. And number two, it's now my thinking is, okay, the Gen Zs, are they gonna buy this kind of art in 20 years? I'm thinking of that because that's how I think as a businessman also. So that's it.
Don't worry, sir, naman ko to educate them.
That's true. That's true. Thank you, Melver.
You know what? A majority, I would say a lot of people, not majority, siguro, a lot of people still don't understand when you say art moves you, right? Maybe you can explain to our listeners, especially those that are don't get it yet, ba? How does art actually move you? How does art what is the role of art in life? Like magunsam din ng art. Nganong day goy art day? Nganong mamatay ta goy art? Dili mo na makaon ng art, di ba? So na kung art.
No, but it's also
Explain to
artistic way
yeah.
to write history.
Correct. Yeah. So maybe you can explain to our listeners and our viewers unsa may importansya di aning art. Specifically kanang paintings ba? Dili mo na makaon mo, di ba? Kung walay paintings di ta mabuhi. Explain to us and then how to appreciate art as well.
Maybe Bea can
Bea,
answer that.
ikaw siguro Bea, kaning pasabta ko no mi Bea.
Perhaps.
Dili ko na kay maka-G Bea. Ngano man nga importante man ang art even in the third world nga nagkandarapa na ta diri, nakalisod na ta diri, di ba? Nganong importante man gyapon ang art nato? Why should it still be important? Go ahead. Close to the microphone, Bea. We want to hear your beautiful voice.
Okay, well, the purpose of art and how you define what art is can be very different questions. So let's start with like what is considered as art, right? Before I forgot the term, but it's the terminology of art dates back to the word that describes both skill and art. So there was no line in history between fine art and craft.
Okay.
So in a way, those two activities today that we know was just one. And so it really tells us about the activity of making and the activity of creation. And so now today, how do we categorize what creation is considered as art? And so I would argue that art is made by someone sentient. So I'm sorry, AI art. but
Sentient. Sentient.
I would.
Unsay binisaya ng sentient? Ha? Walisod na sa?
This so may counterpart.
Consciousness?
Dili mo na.
Conscious
Can be
conscience?
unconscious siya. Okay.
Conscience and consciousness?
Sentient.
I could get back to you on that, but like yeah, so I would say a sentient being would create that, and so some people would argue does an elephant really create art? With the brush and the trunk, and the second is of a specified medium. So I would say that the sentient being chooses a medium in which the third part of the formula, have a purpose. And that could be to communicate something, to express something, to to represent something, whether that's just in a specific color, right? But it represents a specific disposition or a specific time. And I would argue there are sensorial art out there that's like ephemeral. I would argue that it involves a little bit of skill today. And a little bit of method and process of doing things. So that's what I categorize as what art is. And if you satisfy all of this criteria, it's made by a sentient being. There's a medium that's chosen. There's a purpose from which they were compelled to make the activity, and there's a specific way of doing it. Then I would let that pass as
Art.
mostly
Okay.
art.
Okay.
What is the purpose of art? A lot of people look
In our context, I think in the third world context, yeah.
in the third world context, a lot of people think that art is the outcome and the output, which is the object. And in our world today, an object is attached to an economic value or a function or a lifespan. If I may, art hovers above all of that. And as mind-boggling it is to a regular thinker that like you can't really deny what's happening in the world. Everything has economic value. Everything has this value. Art creation resists that. Art creation is not dictated by one formula or by a specific need. It's been practiced throughout time, across civilizations, even before we had the consciousness of what fine art is. So the valuation of art is, for me, an after effect of these very incredible display of skill and process and thinking. So the third world, if I will put that into context, for the third world, I would say art is still a sense of decor, a sense of ornamentation, and there's a purpose to looking at something visually, the way you choose a specific set of curtains and the way it falls and the way there's a specific purpose in your head of why you place such visual around you. You may resonate with the story, you may resonate, and this is what I think Sir Dan is trying to say about it speaks to you. You may resonate with the subject matter of the place you grew up in, and probably that's a scene of like, a coast, like seaside or like a rest house. Or you could resonate with the story of the artist, which is a lot of times, a lot of collectors really follow the story of an artist.
Kato bitong saging agi papilit og duct tape, and it was sold for I think $9 million or something like that, right? How's that art? And maybe you can connect that to what you said about what constitute as art. And would you personally consider it art? The world seems to consider it as kind of art. Somebody paid $9 million for it.
Yeah. Well, what would you call a manifestation of that kind of thinking otherwise? So like I would always say, a lot of people say it's performance, but performance is built on an activity, a skill. You go back to the idea of the intention of creating such with like a very purposeful process and very cohesive thought, and then there's an outcome. And so then what would you call it otherwise? So you could say that banana is a thought and someone attached value into it. But other people would call it art.
Is agreement, universal agreement, or at least agreement by a lot of people, not necessarily majority of people, but a lot of people make art. Like if a million people agree that I'm going to make a concrete example that the cup that I'm using now, which has coffee stains on it, is art, and they pay good money to buy this coffee stain on my coffee mug, coffee cup. Would that be art? If the million people agree with it, like a collective delusion that this is art?
It could.
Is art a collective delusion?
It is.
Okay.
Well,
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 Yeah.
well, for me, I think sometimes the history and the reputation of the artist
Oh.
is very part of the play.
Okay.
Because if it was not that somebody who did the banana thing,
Oh.
and probably the buyer who bought 9 million, but he also has 14 billion in money.
Who's this guy who made
Example,
that?
this is just I was just
Yeah, yeah.
it just popped in my mind now.
So this particular coffee cup, if it was, let's just say, Steve Jobs,
Oh.
who drank from this cup, right? This would have a totally different value if it was just Jiggy Juice who was drinking from this cup, right?
Of course, if there's also provenance.
Yeah.
If you can prove it.
So the value of art does not reside on the thing, right? So the value of the art does not reside on the cup. It is the story behind it, right?
Yeah, and if you can prove the story also.
Yeah, of course, yeah. If you can prove the story.
Yeah.
Mura nag-exhale naman ni si Kwan, si Bea. Gano'n man ni Bea.
That to continue my thought is because that buyer had 14 billion also.
Okay.
What was 9 million?
Wala, gamay ra
He was just
kanya.
like buying a nice
Mura,
umbrella.
FU money, FU money.
A nice umbrella. Fuck you money.
Yeah. Yes, Bea. You,
Sorry.
explain to me your pahiyom. Ngano na pahiyom ang ka, Bea?
I think because there's a lot of confusion of like whether it has demand or supply. And so we can preface this part of the conversation by saying an art market behaves really differently from the soul of what art was and is.
The art market.
The art market is behaves very differently
Okay.
from how idealistic we're sounding right now.
Okay,
with,
okay. So
like-
do you think we're sounding idealistic? You think so? Because
I
I
mean,
think
in
we
terms of-
sound cynical.
in terms of absolute terms
Yeah,
and
yeah,
like
yeah.
what the definition of art
Yeah,
is, what
yeah.
the purpose is. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm speaking in very formulaic
Yeah,
terms.
yeah.
But the art market is and will always be governed by the earnings of the people from a regular world. You know,
The
so like-
earnings of a people from a regular. What is a regular world and what's a
versus
special
versus
world?
the ideal world.
Yeah, yeah. What's that? What's that? What do you mean?
Versus the one that we all say that art is a complete delusion.
Yeah, yeah.
But,
In kasong nahibog mo mga kaigalan sa among gistoryaan, we're talking about art. Kung naamoy mga pangutana, which I'm sure you have, because this is a very deep and a very exciting and interesting but still relevant topic, right? Please feel free to do so. Message us on our YouTube. Maayong adlaw ni Buda J.R. Espinosa, Glenda Antaso, Sol Estorco. Daghang salamat sa inyong pagtanaw. Thank you so much for joining us. Maraming salamat po sa inyong pagkinig o pagtanaw, tanagalog na pagtanaw, pagpanood sa amin. Among magtinagawog sa kugamay, Bea, kay naman tayo mga tigpaminaw nga taga Manila sad ba, taga Luzon sad. So that's why we also have listeners from all over the world. So that's why our communication language is multilingual. So Bea, unsa man tong giingon nimo nga ni hisgot ka og real world? Ito real world. Mo to atong gipangutanan. Nganong unsa man ang real world compared to what world are you talking about?
There's two. I always say this, that there's two values to art, and like one is the prestige, depending on your subject matter, your practice, and your contributions, and how art has moved society or the place that you've been practicing in. And then there's also the economic value, which is the object's value, and acquiring such rare pieces that are not normally produced but created instead of produced is like a one-off that you cannot buy anywhere else. So you know, those are valued at rare prices and precious prices as well. So I would say that you know, we try to marry both prestige and economic value. Especially in an artist's career, we look at how much they've exhibited, how much they've talked about important subject matter, and also how much they've been appraised by being bought more and being exposed more.
Speaking of value ba, we all know we live in very tumultuous times now, right? I mean, we have a conflict going on in the Middle East. There's Europe, Ukraine, and Russia. You know, the Strait of Hormuz, prices are going up. Electricity is scarce. You know, we have an energy crisis, a fuel crisis, and so on and so forth. The Senate is our political landscape now is very weird and all of that stuff. So we live in very tumultuous times now. And not just here in the Philippines but all over the world. Nagka-crisis gito ba? In other words, in short. But it seems to me the value of art has not degraded, has not murag wala ni kung stock market ba mo rise ug mo fall man na, di ba? It seems to me nga makadungog ko daghan kayong mga artworks nga murag na was bought for $200 million. I don't know if you remember ang pinaka expensive nga artwork was just maybe like last year but or 2 years ago. Naabot og $200 million in an auction somewhere. Why is it nga I don't feel nga art the value of art works has gone down. You know, with AI pag yun, di ba? And AI making art, murag in spite of that, ang value sa art is still pretty strong. Is that a correct observation? Is art value or the value of art murag nagkaubos na gyud? What are your thoughts on that? Starting with you, Bea, siguro. Like, kung sa imong tanaw nimo the value of art in spite of what's happening with the world today, is it still steady or has it increased? Has it decreased in terms of overall value?
I want to answer that with more data.
Okay.
And perhaps when I'm more prepared.
Okay.
But, like, maybe what I can say is art market prices are not very transparent. One, most transactions are closed door. Second, to hinge it on first market, meaning if collectors buy straight towards the artist or buy from a gallery, those are private, confidential records that they're not compelled to expose. I don't know which gallery is, compelled to expose everything, right?
Ito streamed live katong sa Sotheby's mo to nga art.
But that's secondary market.
Okay.
Like auction is like selling the sold, right? So selling these pieces that are already either once acquired and so passing it around. Of course, there's a little bit of regulation.
So there's a perception nga nagamahal na hinon imbis nagkabarato or nagkakuan, right?
That's based on one bidder.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like that's not based on.
But I think the bidder will not bid in a vacuum also. He will also look at it as an investment, diba nga? This is something people would pay good money for and all of that stuff, right?
Most of them that are in that level are paying for investment.
Yeah. So I'm sure like that, you can't say it's just one person because I think his mentality was like, I'm sure he has like a million voices telling him, oh, you should get that, and all of that stuff.
Yeah, but that does not dictate the purchasing power of the people.
Correct, yeah.
And how the rest of the trade happens from within the secondary market as a whole. So this is the part where there's not a lot of clarity and linearity versus like regular commercial industries, right? You have one bidder who has exhausted the bids into the highest level in order to covet a piece that's very subjective, is very specific subject matter, specific significance, specific artist, and somehow a lot of the viewers and the audiences from the periphery would think that that's the market price of this artist. So there's a lot of factors that are not necessarily accurate and not necessarily the basis. And this is coming, insider, this is coming from somebody who's worked in these auction houses, who's told me like, everything has to be taken with a grain of salt when it comes to that, because that's really being able to covet these precious pieces. And you would bet a lot of money to covet these, like, really treasures.
How about you, Dan? What are your thoughts on that?
As an example,
Yeah.
we can.
How about you? What are your thoughts on that? In spite of what's happening with the world today, it seems to me, perception-wise, as an outsider looking in, I feel like the value of art has not plummeted with the stock market and all of that stuff.
There's a similarity between stock market and art
Yeah.
collecting also.
Okay.
Chigi. Because the stock market can be played also by people who has the money.
Okay.
And like arts, the prices can go up because a lot of galleries have this particular artist on stock. So they play with the bidding, their own biddings and their own. How do you say that, Bea? They create this kind of.
It's engineered.
Yeah,
It's engineered.
engineered kind
It can
of.
be engineered. It's not engineered,
Just-
but it can
Yeah, so just to raise.
Well,
the price.
artificial.
Artificial because
Oh.
this, like say, one gallery 1 and 2, there's so much of these artists on stock,
Uh,
but they want to raise the prices before they really actually want to sell it to the market.
so
So they create this kind of thing just to raise the prices.
illusion of
And you're saying with stock it happens too.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. But are you talking about the illusion of scarcity? Ilang itago nila? What do you mean?
Not even scarcity, but also what it could be scarcity, but also like say for like a particular female artist in the Philippines, but she passed a long time ago. So
Kinsa man ni siya?
no.
Mm.
Okay.
Okay.
So we
Sorry.
example.
Protecting my
Yeah, but that a lot of these artists collection, a lot of these pieces are within the galleries.
Okay,
Ah,
okay,
so,
okay.
So they're playing something just to raise the prices.
Ikaw kaning Melver, unsa imong
Take.
thoughts ana? How is it nga? It seems to me nga, in spite of the troubles that the world is experiencing today, art is not affected by it. Is that a correct observation? Yes or no? What do you think?
Well, I don't know about that. No, okay. My business is doing art, making art. So, ansiran to nako ang question mo a while ago nga, why is it art is important? Because we have emotion. So, art is a food for the human soul.
Food for the human soul. So kung kita kag money diha imo lang nang kanon basig mabusog ra ka.
In an abstract way.
In an abstract way. Naghisgot si Bea kaganiha ba nga interesting kayo. She was in the beginning of this conversation we were asking her, and as we should because we wanted to have a nice base for this conversation. What is art? What constitute as art? And one of the things that you mentioned, good first thing that you mentioned is sentient, di ba? Sentient, di ba? So, wa mo kita binisaya ng sentient, di ba? Pero I think na siya murag pangutok ba, murag siya
Organic siya.
mura siya maybe murag tao siya ba? Sentient na siya pangutok.
emotion.
Emotion siya. Akong pangutana niya ba kung sentient ba o niya? What if and an argument can be made now murag it seems to me that it's very compelling. What if AI becomes sentient, right? What if AI becomes sentient, right? Maybe next year or 5 years from now or 10 years from now. Would that be considered art? Ikaw. From an artist, Melver, unsay tanaw nimo? Kung ang computer nimo naanay pangutok nga independente sa kalibutan, and what he comes out with, is it considered art?
Well, if it becomes sentient, if ma-prove nga sentient, and
Correct,
it can kanang
Hypothetical.
manifest a philosophical, reason, no? Maka-able siya to philosophize, anything.
Yeah.
It can be art kung atong ikuan kay mo man ay kuan sa, kuan sa art category, no? Kanang to judge what is art. But the question is it our kind? Are you going to appreciate the art of a machine?
Mm-hmm.
So we have to wait for that time, siguro, sir, if it becomes sentient. So this is about, this is only a theory lang sa part. Oh.
I'm not willing to buy also yet.
Yeah. Because na may mga balaod, di ba? I think Europe has a law nga you can't make money off of something that comes from, like artwork that comes from a machine. I think you can't make money from that or something to that effect, I think. I feel like we have to have the proper laws as well, right, to protect the artists. Do you feel nga your craft is under attack because of all of these artworks from computers, from machines, or do you feel confident nga they're not gonna touch us?
I feel confident. So a while ago I mentioned nga my art is based from my experience. So the machine doesn't have experience like me as a human being. So why buy? Why is it mas more valuable probably? That idea, more valuable ang art sa machine. So it should be the human factor maoy mo prevail for me in the future, gyapon. So there's no way it becomes obsolete. The human creativity becomes obsolete.
Kanang I don't know if you are aware of this. Naay project karon nga mura og ilahang gibutang ang tanan nga characteristics sa the band, the Beatles bitaw. All of their personal characteristics, all of their songs, all of everything that they've ever said that's been recorded. Gibutang nila og usa ka machine o niya gipa-crunch nila to make a song. So kaning ilang mga pangutok, ang ilahang mga gipangsulti, ang ilang mga art sense, ang ilahang kinaiya,
Characteristics.
na butang og computer o niya gipagawas og kanta, right? So sila gyapon ni sila si Ringo Starr, Paul George, basketball player lang yun, Paul McCartney, si John Lennon o si George Harrison, di ba? Sila gyapon ni sila ang ilahang pangutok, ang ilahang mga previous work
Or what remains of them.
Remains of them, which is probably more accurate than what we know of people, because there's an entity now that can know us more than our mothers, right? So in a way, isn't that a more accurate representation of who these people are, and what comes out of it is actually more accurate than somebody who's like your mother, right? Who can probably let's just say explain to somebody kung naay mangutana sa akong inahan panalitan ni panaw nako, hope not, nga ingon sila kinsa ba to si Jiggy, like she will not be as accurate as a computer will, because di man siya makahinumdum sa tanan, di ba? But ang computer makahinumduman sa tanan, right? So isn't that a more accurate representation of the artwork of the Beatles, a machine, compared to kaning even Ringo Starr himself is he's still alive, right? Ringo's still alive, right? I think so, right?
I don't remember.
Oh, now,
I don't
can you
remember.
check, please, man?
So katong ilang records,
Oh,
ilang thinking
yeah,
that is being used.
yeah. Gipakrat.
That was their thinking in the 70s.
Yeah,
But
correct,
that's
yeah.
not applicable now.
Yeah, but they were alive until even Paul McCartney still.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
Paul McCartney is still alive, right?
Yeah.
Ringo is also still alive.
Okay, thank
yeah.
goodness, right? So he was my least favorite Beatles, but some say he's a drummer. But anyway, mas accurate siya ba? So what are your thoughts on that?
I don't buy it. Sir. I don't buy it.
What do you mean you don't
So,
buy it?
What
do you mean? In what way don't?
It should be came from the human soul. No, ang art. So that came from a machine, and then there is that idea, ang simulation.
But do you agree nga there's an entity now that can know us more than our mothers?
I don't.
Hmm?
Yeah.
I think that for me,
Yes, Bea.
humanity is composed of everything, including the fallibility,
Okay.
the flaws, the uncertainty, hesitations, and apprehensions.
Correct.
And I think also that means being able to age and being able to forget and being able to, like, it's a cumulative of all of that. But if you want to see a human being in all its accuracies, as you would say, or like perfections, and what, in a speculated, also there's a speculation of like what their
Prediction, like a prediction how they would behave,
anxieties
right?
are, or like what their failure of imperfections are. It could be a speculation from the machine based on like probability, based on all of these things. And also, like, a human being is both kinesthetic, verbal, auditory, visual, and that encompasses the atmosphere of art.
Everything
So-
that you just mentioned can be programmed. Everything you just said earlier before can be programmed. Inaccuracy, fallibility, decay, that can be programmed.
Why would you program nuances like this?
No, but theoretically, I'm just
Yeah.
talking about it from a theoretical perspective. But all of those things that you mentioned
Yeah.
can be programmed. Kanang error, right? Kanang our ability to misremember things. Even computers and AI is known to have delusions, right? Or something like that, right? So ma-program ra na tanan. Kung ganahan kang imperfect ang imong, pwede magana sa imong mga some people do reports and in class project, make it look like or sound like it's human, and have manufacture mistakes,
Yes.
inaccuracies, and all of those things that you mentioned can be factored in, right? So it really is kind of very, very challenging. Ba? Mura man ka kaning
Now, a good question.
sige.
Can you interview a computer?
Actually, you can. We can do it right now if you want.
I mean, is it enjoyable to interview a machine?
Well, some people have AI boyfriends and girlfriends.
True though.
Yeah.
That's crazy though. Like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
lot of people really turn to
Yeah.
AI for like emotional results.
Yeah.
They have
company
at home, right?
That's why it has to be regulated.
Yeah.
But yes, go ahead.
So yeah, I think the bigger question here really is the influence, the way technology affects art ba. I remember what's his name, Andy Warhol, pop art. Is pop art, is the art value of pop art? Let me rephrase the question. Is it possible for a genre of art, or maybe even an artwork of a person, for his value to dip, to go down? Pananglitan. Let me give you music, but not of art. Let's just say of Michael Jackson. Pananglitan. But Michael Jackson is a big artist and all of that stuff. But at the end of his career, in the latter years of his career, murag medyo na controversial siya. You know, he was known, at least he was accused of a lot of bad things. And in many ways, ang iyang stock murag ni kuan ba ni ubos ba, gamay ba. Although he has a movie out now, di ba? And I think they're trying to reshape the story of Michael Jackson. But is it possible for an artwork to go down, to dip in value? And what could be the reasons for an artwork or an artist's value to go down? Ikaw siguro, Melver, ikaw unahon ako. Kung sa kay may tabo nimo nga imong artwork mo value sa imong artwork mo ubos.
Well, I don't think so. So, and second is I don't mind because my job is to make art. So that's up for them if go down back on value. But for me, I'm not conscious about that. I'm more conscious about doing pieces of art.
So dili mo matter nimo kung imong value mo ubos or mosaka, right?
I don't think mo ubos. Probably mo stagnate siguro kung kuan.
So,
but I don't think.
What are your thoughts?
There's also like
is pop art a good example of is Andy Warhol's increasing, or is pop art in general increasing or decreasing in value?
there's also like a saying that an artist can also manage their work to be able to protect the pricing.
What does that mean?
Because some artists is like example this big. The rate is like say 25,000 and iyan na siyang rate for that period. But of course in dire need of money, it dipped just at say 10,000. So that's half the price. So there's a little confusion, and then it can bring the prices down because he was selling this particular size valued at 20 at 10,000.
Ikaw Bea, mura man ka ganing mura man ka og
Also
mura
confusing
naglagot
the
man ka
market.
Bea. Mura man ka naglagot sa among conversation.
No. I'm thinking.
Is it possible for the value of an artwork or the value of an artist to go down? And I gave an example because I'm an idiot. I don't really know art. Andy Warhol was an example for me. I feel like the value of pop art has probably gone down. I don't know, has it gone up? I'm not sure.
First of all, Michael Jackson and Andy Warhol really are pop artists.
Let's see. Oh, okay.
It's,
Okay.
Pop as a genre is meant for the mainstream.
Popular, yeah. Short for
And,
popular.
Yeah, and it follows the guideline
Okay.
of pop, right?
Okay.
So, I think they follow it true to the genre, and as with pop, because it follows the movements of like pop culture and like the mainstream purchasing power, then it can fluctuate. But
Yeah, exactly.
it can fluctuate. I think what Melver was also trying to say is the business of an artist in the creation of the work is of and in itself the sole purpose. And like again, the value is an aftermath of like when the collectors come in and try to support these artists in a specific exchange exchange system or mechanism, so that they can continue painting. If this were the Renaissance, like the Medicis would have brought in, Melver into their house and said, just keep painting. Ako rin bahala, don't think of
We
that.
feed you and
Don't think of the basic necessities, like that's how the patrons did it before. And so you could see that kind of relationship really acknowledges that artists' sole purpose is to really focus on the creation, to make sure that they document a time that could be lost in the future through their eyes, through their perspective. And patrons like Dan understands that. And like it may be a process for some people who want to be patrons of the arts, but like he's gotten to a stage where he knows what he's supporting, and he knows when he has like a relationship with artists, and why he's doing it. So it's the reason why I'm just going back to that is because it really got me thinking. A lot of artists in Cebu, because it's a small industry, they have to do everything. It's not like in the first world where they show this idea of like an ecosystem where there's a mega gallery, there's a smaller gallery, and there's a mini gallery. And, you know, there are curators who will help artists, there are residency managers who will help artists, and all artists have to do is paint. But here in Cebu, that's not the case. Like, artists will pay for their own shows. They don't necessarily have a ready investor. It's hard to get grants to just continue to make. Right, they have to think of, you know, like selling, and somehow it's the example of Sir Dan saying like, "Oh, I have to feed my kids, so yeah, just
I
pay
know
10,000 pesos."
I know
for
that
this,
that really factors in, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you know, if you're hungry, right? I mean, we were talking about that about musicians too, because we have a lot of artists here.
Exactly.
The idea of a hungry artist, right, is really real, especially in the third world, di ba? So kana silang mga singer pananglitan, na sila day job, magtrabaho sila BPO, na sila gig panagsa, di ba? So dili gid sila maka-focus sa ilahang art, sa ilahang art of singing, because they have to pay the bills. Right? So dili na mahimo nga makaingon ka. You know, I'm curious of what you said, baningon mangog ka, Melver, nga, you know, the purpose of art is art itself, right? Pero kung gigutom ka, kung akay pangbayad sa tuition sa imong mga anak, kung nakay renta, ano, so makaapekto gina sa imong art, right?
I have other source of money making. I teach in the university.
Okay.
So that's my kaning primary day job. Yeah. So way back in time, I was kaning practicing art really straight good as a kaning freelance artist gud, sir, diba?
How long was that, Art Melver?
Well, it's about 17 years.
Oh,
That's
freelance.
about 17 years.
What,
as freelance
17 years
artist.
na
Being a
ano?
freelance.
Yeah, being a freelance painter. And then what I found about that is I become more a businessman, sir, rather than an artist, because I have to. Yeah, we go back to that. I have to feed myself, and so I do the practical kaning things about painting, probably kaning accept for a particular kaning request from a client. So it's not really independently done by me as an artist. So I cater those requests. I become a compromise. I become a businessman.
So aside from the clients who want your art commission, was your art affected during that time?
Yeah.
In terms of
And affected emotionally.
quality?
Because I that time I was kind of really thinking nga na-confine ako with that niche.
What ngano na confine mga usa ka niche?
Well, that kaning particular niche nga ako ang na-confine ko is very syllable.
So mura kag na-confine sa usa ka niche because money ang makahatag og panginabuhi nimo.
Exactly, sir.
You know, there's a saying in marketing and advertising, it's not you don't choose your market. The market chooses you.
Yeah.
Right? So I guess it's an example of that particular phenomenon, right?
Yes, and I felt stagnant.
Yeah. So what do you mean by you felt stagnant because you were stuck in that particular niche?
Yeah, no longer evolving.
because he was dictated by the market.
Yeah. Kana manggong artist usahay ba murag they sometimes stumble upon a genre, a way of painting nga mooy musikat, makapasikat nila, di ba? Without even planning it, right? Nagkuris-kuris lang ko diri niya, human na ako yung mga painting mura og dugay kay na akong hinimo, way mo palit, pero kani akong ikuris-kuris mo ano ni mahalog maayo, right? So it sometimes you stumble upon it by accident ba. But because it's so sellable, they stick to that. Kanina lang kay mo man ni makapakaon sa akong mga anak og makabayad sa bills, right? So kanang gitawag nimo og growth ba? Kanang gitawag nimo og mo evolve ang sa artist ba? Isn't that kind of I would say risky? Because you're constantly evolving. Ang imuhang artwork nga ganahan sa mga tao kaning wala na kanibuhat na kay padung na ka sa lain nga direction. Don't you feel compelled to stick to the one that people are buying? Huh?
It's kind of risky.
Yeah,
That is why a while ago, that is what kaning people thought about. No, just like for example, Sir Dan, katong we're talking about extreme sport. I think we humans love extremes. So, all in my part as an artist, I'm also like Miss Sir Dan Climaco nga. I go extreme also just to kaning create something new. And then that something new nga evolution should not be kanang deliberately done. It should be evolve from within.
Ikaw, Sir Melver, obviously, I think Dan has some of your collections, right?
Yes.
Tell me about what you have nga Dan has in his collection and what we can see during this event that you'll be displaying his collections. Go ahead. Unsa man imong mga artwork ni Dan? With
More,
Dan, I mean.
more maritime subjects.
Can you give us your favorite of all all of his artworks that are from you?
Yeah, maritime subjects, and also I deal with landscape as well, and then mostly sa collection ni mo, sir, no. And then,
boats.
mga boats, and then human figures as well, and then more about the best nga ako ang artwork nga I can consider now is with the Sir Dan Climaco is the katong woman musing at the beach. That's the best one kay it's so deep for me nga you can translate into different meanings with that woman and the child dito. Probably that's her child or probably
Somebody else.
it can be defined in so many ways.
Kanang bodies of water ba or kaning water ba nga imuhang perceived favorite subject, but did you choose that ba?
The other one.
Imuha ng choice nga mo paint ka og water, or was it another example of people buying making it more profitable for you to paint water?
My choice.
Bodies of water.
My choice.
That's the one. Oh, can I look at it?
But I think, Jiggy, a lot of collectors also are drawn to bodies of water.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what? I really need to talk about this just for a few moments because I'm also a huge fan of water, right? I mean, I don't like to swim. I told Dan this. I'm not a surfer. I'm not a swimmer. I'm not a scuba diver. I just want to sit on the sand and have my coffee and maybe my whiskey or my beer on the sand, and that's it. I enjoy. It's like finitude, which is me looking at infinity, right? That's how I feel.
Yeah.
Because the ocean, the water looks like it's forever, especially kanang if the water is vast, but especially if you're looking at an ocean, right? So I love that. But ikaw, like, what is it about water? What is it about the ocean? What is it about the seas that you're compelled to paint?
Number one, gives me comfort. And second is, it's I think that's source of life for me, and source of life for everyone, I think. And then also, although the third I cannot really define, it's really abstract. It really, my soul magnates to water.
Yeah.
That's, I think, one thing in common with me and Melbourne because we like that scenery also. That's why I also buy those kind of subjects.
Yeah. How does it feel, Dan Climaco, sir, to put your collection out there on display for the whole world to see? Because an artwork, Manggod, a collection of artwork is actually kind of personal also, right? It kind of reveals who you are, right? And what your worldview is, perhaps, or the way you feel about certain things, right? How does it feel for you, Dan Climaco, to have your entire collection, at least most of your collection, exposed to the world?
Okay, that's a very good question. Nobody can answer that here.
Yeah.
But only you can answer that.
Only you can answer.
I think
Do you
it's,
feel naked?
Not at all. But it's also part of how I think about art, and it needs to be shared.
Yeah.
So I feel I have joy sharing it, regardless of if I can sell it or not. As long as I could share it, I could display it in a nice space, then I'm happy with it. That's it.
The sheer joy of sharing, right? Because we're all like that. We love to share, right?
Yes.
At least most of us.
And also maybe give a little bit of idea for future collectors or patrons that it's also one way of helping this artist to grow. evolve.
So if we want to look at the artworks or the collections, I should say, of Dan Climaco, when is and where is this happening?
So we're having a partnership with Rockwell
Oh, okay.
and Rockwell and Gaia and Curtains Unlimited in Aruga in Mactan.
Okay, those
on May 22.
okay.
2 p.m.
So Aruga, Gaia, Rockwell, like maybe you can explain to our listeners what they are because they're just names to most of them, I guess. Rockwell is a property developer, right?
Yes.
And Gaia is what is the
An art consultant.
Art consultant.
that's you. That's you.
Yeah, Gaia is an art consultant.
okay.
So Curtains Unlimited is of course
The curtains,
yeah.
of course.
This is also one way of strengthening my relationship with Rockwell, Curtains Unlimited,
Okay,
because
okay.
they've given us so much
Okay.
for the past few years
Okay.
in their projects here in Cebu.
Okay.
So that's
Giving
creating
back.
this event.
So
is
where is this going to be? The Aruga property is
the Aruga property in Mactan.
Where is this? Where in Mactan?
In
Is it
Punta
Punta-
Engaño.
Okay.
Yes. So it's the first property developed by Rockwell.
Do you need to be invited to be a part of this, or is it like open to the public? How does it work?
The vernissage? You need to be invited
Okay.
for the vernissage, the opening, the launching.
When is this?
Is it May 22? 23 is it's open to the public.
Okay.
So you can just drop by anytime until June 8,
Okay.
June 19.
Okay. You know what, Dan, and I think maybe this goes for the three of you, the two of you also. Kind of ng artwork bitaw. It is more relevant now, I think, because there's so many people who are buying homes now. A lot of our peers, are already at that age, and they can already afford, hopefully, at least one would hope, homes themselves, right? And especially now bitaw nga daghan kay mga condos bitaw bay. Daghan kay mga vertical developments ba nga medyo gamay og space ba compared to a sprawling property bitaw. So ang akong pangutana siguro this is probably true for most people because of course we have a lot of rich people here also in Cebu who can afford sprawling homes and have huge walls, but a majority of us have really small homes, right? And is it more difficult ba to make a smaller home more beautiful with an artwork? Is it more difficult ba or the challenges are the same comparing it with a massive house and a massive wall?
Well,
Is it more difficult?
It becomes
Paano?
tricky. It becomes tricky.
Okay.
Because you cannot put too big an artwork in a very small wall.
Yeah.
So even the subject matter is also
Yeah.
important.
So what unsa may diferensya ba like if I'm a new homeowner and would like to decorate my home with some moving art, unsa kay mentality nako, how should I think about when I'm buying art for my small and limited space?
That's a very personal question.
Yeah.
But very tricky also.
But I think that's a question that most people are asking.
Yeah, generally, I would recommend some abstract
Okay.
in a very small space,
Okay.
especially if it's leaning towards modern.
Ngano abstract man dan? Nganon dili man kaning pareha sa kang Melver nga murag painting sa
Representational.
Melver pwede siya for a small house,
Okay.
but not so much for so much for a urban small space. But I hang his paintings in a unit in the coastal area, which works well because
So
it was-
you would recommend abstract
yes.
in terms of proportion of size ba, like unsa may appropriate proportion size sa painting to wall ratio?
Well, it depends because some like a 2 meter by 2 meter wall, you can put like an 80 by 80 piece.
Okay.
But you can also put a collection of small pieces, but of the same theme, like say monochromatic, black and white.
Obviously, the best place to put your artwork is in the living room because that's your murag entertaining space. That's where you have guests over, right? But if you had to choose ba, like some people say it's the bedroom because when you wake up, you need to feel the energy of the painting. Like ikaw, like personally, Dan, where's the best place for you to put your artwork? Your best artwork. If you had to choose.
It's not about the best, but it's the best for the situation. for me.
Yeah, okay.
Like in the bedroom, I have a series of nudes.
Oh, wow, okay. Nudes.
But it's very
You wake up to naked women.
no, but it's very like very artistic kind of
Okay.
nudity.
Okay.
It's by one of my best artists also.
Okay.
Sir Kim So Yap.
Okay, why is that? Why did you decide to put that as painting in your a very personal space, which is your bedroom? Does that inspire you?
Yeah, it was beautiful, and I had a series of three, same subject but different angles and same colors, and then it so happened that my headboard also had that same color somehow in those pieces.
You know what? When you see something, and you see it very often, you kind of are numb to it, right? If you see something all the time, sometimes you just forget about it because you've been seeing it for years, right? How often should somebody rearrange or add or buy more art? Like, how does that work?
Okay.
In terms of just your sheer pleasure of looking at art in your house, but what's the cycle? What should the cycle be? Should it be like annually, every 6 years, every 10 years? I don't know.
Maybe I'm not in the normal.
Okay.
in the normal sense.
Yeah.
But me, my wall in my condominium, very small condominium, it's I just put a hanger.
Okay.
And then I don't drill holes for a specific painting.
Okay.
For a specific
Because
because I want it to be changed regularly.
why is that?
Because that's me. I want to see different pieces.
But for a normal person, like an average middle class person who has like a condo unit somewhere, what do you think is the
that's why it's important that there's always an attachment or a relation connection to the art piece.
Buy with your eyes.
Yeah, so you don't get di ka mapuladain ba. That's me.
That's you.
Yeah, but that's important.
Bea,
also.
ikaw, art curator, Mika Bea, like, where's the best place to put your artwork in the house, personally?
It really depends on a case-to-case basis.
Yeah, in your case.
Me, in my house.
Tanong ako ba, ceilings? Or
You can if you want.
if you're sleeping, what do you think?
Well, but like rather than my personal take, I think I'd advise someone who's starting, and especially if they're in a smaller footprint, I would advise that one, of course, you buy with your eyes, like things that really resonate with you because you'll be seeing it a lot. It's a small space. The second is like being able to buy and display it is better than buying and leaving it. So there are people who buy for the sake of just buying this particular artist. I'd rather that you display it and see it. So with your question of like how often should you rotate when you want to see these works. So some people, in my experience, some people would ask us to rotate collections based on the season. Like, for example, they'll have like their family over and they want to show the portraits of the kids. Sometimes they do that and like they display it in the foyer. Sometimes for dinner and like more heavy event seasons, they'll create like what do you call that? A still life na setting instead of like a fruit bowl in the middle. It can be these things that you hint in different spaces of the home. The second is if you have a treasure that you want to protect and you have a small space, just find one that's far from the heat, the wall. The window where there's direct heat, or use curtains. Like use curtains that break up the UV so that it won't fluctuate in terms of heat. I think that's it. And steam.
Steam.
Steam and moisture.
So ayo ibutang imong painting kung mamlansya ka diha, di ba?
Og maligo.
Don't put paper.
Don't put paper lang.
Ayaw po ibutang tubangan sa stove, di ba? Kay murag lisod kayo.
You can. This is a free world, but like
That depends on the material. Remember sa katong metal plate? That can be
Ikaw Melver, kung papilion ka asa man pinakanindot nga lugar sa imuhang artwork. Imuhang artwork
I have a lot in my studio.
Okay, but kaning asa man
For the buyers,
where's the
that's
best?
up to them. Basta di lang sa trash.
I love it.
Anywhere except inside the trash can. Why don't you invite them one more time? Kaning Bea, Dan, and Melv, invite them one more time to the event that's happening in, where's that again? Aruga?
Aruga.
And maybe you can invite people. Is your studio open to the public ba, Dili?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
That depends on the
by
situation.
appointment, right?
By
Go-
appointment.
You have your Instagram, right?
I have my Instagram.
Go ahead. What is that? What is your Instagram?
Melver Mercado Paintings.
Melver Mercado Paintings. Melvor.
VER.
VER, Melver Mercado. I'm sure you know that.
Paintings.
Paintings, right? And all of your paintings that are still available are there.
Mostly.
Mostly, right? How about you, Bea? Why don't you invite them to whatever it is that you do aside from the event happening this May? Go ahead.
I'll start with the event.
Go ahead.
So we'll have an exhibit entitled Panlantao. This is brought to you by Rockwell, Curtains Unlimited, and Gaia Art Consultancy. And the setting, the Rockwell development in feature for this one will be Aruga in Punta Engaño. Aruga Resort and Residences in Punta Engaño, Mactan will host more than 50-piece setting, unveiling the collection of Mr. Dan Climaco over 15 years of collecting, and will be featuring in priority more regional artists from Cebu, Bacolod, Dumaguete, and we'll also be hosting events all throughout the month's exhibition period. So stay tuned.
Will you be there?
Yes.
Mato ka
course he
rito?
is.
Okay, but I think. And how about the other artists aside from Melver? Will other artists will also
Oh yeah.
will also be there?
Yes.
Who else did you invite to be there?
Sir Kim Soyap.
Okay. That-
And company.
And company.
Because I think importante kayo na nga makaistorya ka sa
Yes.
sa artists because I have had the pleasure to talk to great artists because
Yes.
of the Tops Art Fest and the way you look at their artwork is really different kung nakaistorya ko nila
Yes.
personally, right? Lahi gud ba isa?
Me as a collector, I really engage in
Yeah.
the artist before I,
Right.
Or if I have their piece, then I will try to talk to them, or,
Yeah.
how passionate they are, or
Yeah.
what their plan is in
Yeah.
the future. So if I put in money, then I like to know that person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why don't you invite them one last time? Go ahead.
The event in Aruga will be featuring 50 Visayan artworks, and most of these artworks are not shown in public. So this is part of my collection.
You have to go to Dan's bedroom to see the artworks.
So we'd like to invite everyone if you want to just visit Aruga.
Are you gonna bring the paintings in your bedroom in the exhibit? No.
No.
Oh,
No.
Maybe you can.
treasures.
Maybe you can show us pictures of your
Oh,
your
you-
paintings. Show me, yeah. I want to look at that.
It's a watercolor.
Wow.
But
okay.
nice.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, so we'd like to invite everyone to visit Aruga on May 23 to June 19 if you want to see the collection, or if you want to view also Aruga as a property.
Okay. Aruga is a
Development by Rockwell.
horizontal, right?
Yes.
Okay,
In
and
Punta Engaño.
Punta Engaño. Is it after Shangri-La? Before Shangri-La?
It's after Shangri-La.
Okay, a few kilometers after Shangri-La.
Yes.
And is it left side or right side?
Right side.
Right side. Okay.
There'll be visuals also.
Okay, just waze it, right? Aruga.
Beautiful.
At Punta Engaño. Melver, daghang salamat, Melver.
Daghan sige
It is
salamat.
always a pleasure to be able to peek into the mind of an artist. Grabe jud kay naka-honor by. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you so much, Sir
And
G.
Bea, like I said during our initial conversations at that restaurant in Ayala, like I don't know a lot of art curators, art consultants such as yourself. So thank you so much for allowing me to also peek into your mind, because I think it's important that we appreciate art in this place. I think we are actually a very artistic people, right? And we have so much art. I think it's coming out of our ears, right? Daghan kay ta mga artists, not just painters, but singers, and so on and so forth. And I think you're right, Dan. I think we need to support them.
Mm-hmm.
We really do need to support them. And the city, the region is so happy, is so grateful that people such as you're here to support
Yes.
local artists. Daghang salamat, Dan.
Thank you too.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that you guys share and subscribe and comment on this conversation. And I think if you're an artist or if you want to be an artist, just put the questions there, and maybe we'll have Dan or Melver or even Bea, and I will answer myself once you post it on our YouTube, our Facebook, our TikTok, and Instagram. Daghang salamat mga kagalaan. I'm your host. My name is Jiggy Juice. You're listening to Top of the Morning.
Thank you, Jiggy.
Thank you very much.